The Fragrance of Heaven, the story of Ludwig von Falkenberg. A story by Patrick, the German fragrance bro. Imagine a young boy wandering barefoot through blooming meadows, discovering the world not with his eyes, but with his nose. His name was Ludwig von Falkenberg, and his gift for sensing and understanding scents would lead him on a journey to become a world-renowned perfumer. This is the tale of a man whose perfumes could touch hearts, a story filled with mystery, aromas, and gentle love. This is the story of The Fragrance of Heaven. Picture a young boy standing in a summer meadow where bees hum around the wildflowers. The boy, named Ludwig, was no ordinary child. He had an exceptional gift, a nose that could detect and interpret scents as if they were stories waiting to be told. While other children played and chased clouds, Ludwig would stand in the meadow, close his eyes, and take a deep breath. "What are you smelling, Ludwig?" the other boys would ask, laughing. But Ludwig was undisturbed. "I smell summer," he'd say softly, smiling. To him, scents were like hidden treasures waiting for him to discover them. Every Sunday, his mother would send him to the village bakery to fetch fresh bread. But before accepting the loaves, Ludwig would press his nose against the warm glass display case, inhaling the aroma of freshly baked rolls and sweet pastries. "You're a peculiar boy, Ludwig," the baker would chuckle. "Other kids want sweets, but you seem satisfied by the scent alone." Ludwig would just nod shyly, knowing that scents were a gift, a treasure he longed to keep. As Ludwig grew, his nose became even more refined, and his love for scents deeper. He read books, pored over ancient manuscripts, and learned about the symbolic meanings of aromas throughout history. One day, he found an old book in his parents' library that told of the importance and symbolism of scents in ancient times. He was enchanted, learning that fragrances had held deep meaning for people throughout history, and not just for people, but even in connection with the divine. "Father, did you know that frankincense and myrrh are among the most sacred scents in the world?" he asked one evening at the dinner table. His father, a simple man, shook his head and smiled. "Ludwig, you're a clever boy. Someday you'll surprise us all." As he grew older, Ludwig's dream became clearer. He wanted to understand scents more deeply. He studied the Bible and other ancient texts, learning about the role of fragrances in the past. He was fascinated by stories of frankincense burned at ceremonies to honor the gods, and of myrrh once given as gifts to kings and wise men. One cold winter evening, Ludwig sat by the fire with his mother, reading aloud from a book about ancient offerings. "Did you know, Mother," Ludwig said with shining eyes, "that the aroma of roasting meat and burning fat on the altars was so pleasing that even God loved it?" His mother smiled gently and stroked his hair. "You have a remarkable gift, Ludwig, but what do you plan to do with it?" Ludwig gazed thoughtfully into the fire. "I don't know exactly, Mother," he said softly, "but I want to create something beautiful, something that makes people happy. Maybe one day I'll create the most beautiful fragrances in the world." As Ludwig grew older, he realized that his dreams could no longer be fulfilled in his small village. So he set off on a long journey, traveling to distant lands. He visited the vibrant markets of the Orient, where the air was thick with the smell of spices, cinnamon, cardamom, and saffron, and he felt a world of wonder unfold before him. Everywhere he went, he learned from the masters of fragrance, immersing himself in their wisdom. Though the journey was difficult, for Ludwig, it was filled with miracles. In Persia, he learned to distill rose water. In India, he discovered the rare and precious sandalwood. The secret of fragrances, an old perfumer in Marrakesh once told him, is not in the ingredients, but in the soul of the one who blends them. Ludwig took these words to heart and began to rely more on his intuition. His goal was clear. He wanted to capture the essence of the world in his scents. During his travels, Ludwig read about the ancient perfumers of Egypt and Greece, who used oils and resins to bring joy to both humans and gods. He learned that ancient Egyptians considered perfume sacred, a gift from the gods themselves. Ludwig felt like a student of the divine art and knew that one day he would create something that would touch people's hearts as deeply as the ancient scents. After years abroad, Ludwig finally returned home, carrying with him the knowledge and secrets of scents. Using his savings, he opened a small shop in the city. He named it Ludwig's Realm of Scents, a place where people would find more than mere perfumes. Here, they would find themselves. His shop was like a wonderland. Dark wood, golden light, and shelves lined with bottles containing essences he had blended by hand. Customers entering his shop were immediately enveloped in a warm, soothing atmosphere. "What would you recommend, Mr. von Falkenberg?" a woman asked shyly. Ludwig smiled and looked into her eyes. "Tell me about yourself, and I'll find a fragrance that suits you." News of Ludwig's remarkable talent spread quickly. People from far and wide came to have a personalized fragrance made by him, and strange rumors began to circulate. Some claimed that angels visited his shop in the quiet hours of night. Some customers even claimed to have heard faint singing while they waited, and others swore that the shop's scents must be heavenly in origin. But Ludwig wasn't satisfied with merely making perfumes. He felt a calling to reach people on a deeper level. He began to create fragrances that would directly affect people's emotions. For those who were sad, he blended scents of violet and bergamot to bring comfort. For the adventurous, he mixed citrus and pepper to invigorate the senses. But even this wasn't enough for him. Ludwig began writing children's books, with stories in which the magic of scents played a central role. His tales featured children who gained courage and overcame fears with the help of fragrances. The stories were so popular that entire school classes began visiting his shop to learn from him. "Mr. von Falkenberg, why does this scent make me feel so happy?" a young boy asked, eyes wide with curiosity. Ludwig smiled and explained patiently, "Because it's made from the most beautiful memories in the world. Scents are like tiny treasures we carry with us." One snowy winter's day, when the world was wrapped in white, a young woman entered the shop. Her skin was as fair as snow, and her hair shone golden in the soft light. "Good day," she said, her voice gentle like a spring breeze. "My name is Freya, and I'm looking for a special scent that can help me keep a memory alive." Ludwig's heart quickened, and he smiled softly. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Freya," he said, guiding her to a small table surrounded by bottles and vials. "Tell me about this memory. Sometimes scents can bring the beauty of the past to life." Freya looked deeply into Ludwig's eyes, a soft sadness in her gaze that he couldn't quite understand. "It was a fragrance that smelled of summer and freedom," she whispered. "A scent that gave me warmth and comfort. I haven't smelled it in years, yet I long for it." Moved by her words, Ludwig began blending a fragrance, choosing rosewood for warmth, jasmine for tenderness, and a hint of musk for depth. The scent was like a gentle echo of a lost time. Freya inhaled the fragrance, and a smile touched her lips as her eyes brightened. "It's as if I'm there again," she murmured. "How did you do that?" Ludwig smiled, his heart racing. "Scents have their own language," he said softly. "They remind us of what lives on in our hearts, And sometimes when we find the right scent, an old longing becomes part of the present. Freya gazed deeply into Ludwig's eyes, and at that moment he knew this fragrance meant more than any he had ever created. It was a bond between him and this mysterious woman who had entered his life like a winter's fairy tale. Freya and Ludwig began to meet more often, growing closer with each encounter. They shared their dreams, their thoughts about life, and together they discovered new fragrances the world had never smelled before. Their love blossomed like a fragrance, slowly maturing, deep and mysterious. Those around Ludwig soon noticed that his work had become even more beautiful and vibrant. His shop, Ludwig's Realm of Scents, became a place of legend. People from all over the world came to experience Ludwig's fragrances, which were like reflections of the soul, and some said that even angels would sometimes descend at dusk to revel in the scents that floated through the air like a quiet melody. Freya brought a touch of magic to Ludwig's work, and together they created fragrances that didn't just surround people, but touched them deeply. They lived a happy and fulfilled life together, their gentle, quiet love like a heavenly fragrance that would never fade. And so, dear friends, this is the end of the story of Ludwig von Falkenberg and his Freya, a man who understood the world of scents, and a woman who helped him transform that world into love. The name Ludwig von Falkenberg would live on as a legend, and his realm of scents became a place where human hearts and heavenly fragrances would forever be intertwined.